007. It's going to Moab, 465 Dead 2 2000s package. I believe we might have our buy run.
Everybody, number one, here we go. Woo!
Hey everybody, it's me again, the good old FTI transmission converter guy. Today we're going to go over how to install your Powerglide trans brake valve body. This is all part of our how-to series to help you, the customer, understand what we do and how we do it and help you work on your race car better. Today I'm going to show you how to put it in a stock Powerglide case as well as an aftermarket Powerglide case. There are a few differences you need to pay attention to when you install it. We're going to go over how to adjust your trans brake valve and your solenoid, make sure it's closing off properly. We're going to make sure that your manual valve hookup is right, make sure the tube fits the case. Quite a few little things that get commonly overlooked when you're just buying a valve body and installing it into a case. First thing we're going to do is, you can see we have a stock Glide case here. This case has already been race prepped, it's been bead blasted and painted, all the holes have been tapped and ready to go. Now, in order to finish race preparation on this case, to take a trans brake valve body, there's a couple things you need to do. First and foremost we need to do is we need to drill a hole right here in the back of the case. We'll refer to this as the horseshoe. We're going to go just to the left of the horseshoe. You're going to see there's a hole right here. We're going to take a 5/16 drill bit and we're going to drill this hole all the way through into the piston cavity in the back of the case. Then we're going to intersect it from the bottom as such. If it goes to break through, it's going to catch the drill. That's fine. Just keep it nice and straight as you go in with it. Drill it all the way through into the piston cavity as such. Now, you need to make sure when you do this, you don't have a piston in the bottom of the case. I have seen that before. I try to show you things that I have seen to make sure that we don't see these problems in the future and to help you understand how to do it. Now we need to come around from the bottom of the case and intersect the same hole. If you'll look at the hole right here, you can pick out that it's the cavity all the way to the right with the bell housing facing away from you back into the bench. We're just going to intersect this hole, and this one's going to be a little difficult because it is a cast hole. So we're going to get your drill finished. You don't want to drill too far, you just want to intersect into the other hole. And that's it. You can look through this hole and see the drill bit inside of it, and you know that you've intersected. This is going to increase the amount of feed to your trans brake, to your reverse clutch circuit. Now, make sure you get all your chips off the bench here. We don't want any of these inside the transmission whatsoever. Make sure you clean the things out as well. I like to take a larger drill bit, put a larger drill bit on your drill, go inside and deburr the hole on the inside where it comes into your piston. That way you don't have any burrs inside the transmission. You certainly don't want any trash inside your freshly built tranny, or if you're just putting one in. Understand that you do need to take the transmission apart to do this. I don't recommend doing it with the piston in the case. Once you got this thing drilled, that's really all you need to do to install one of our valve bodies on a case. Now, there are several different types of valve bodies out there. All of ours use this feed right here. We move both cavities together, notice the size of the hole, to get more oil to the reverse clutch. In the day, they made what's called a double dump, and they had two feeds side by side, simultaneous, here and here, to try to make the valve body release faster. But in all reality, it can only flow as much oil as what's inside the valve body. We've gone here and made our valve bigger, which is covered in our How to Build Your Valve Body video, to get your trans brake to release faster. So you've got your valve body you've purchased, whether it's mine or anybody else's, that's fine. Always check, make sure your valve's good and free going in and out of the hole. We already got our holes drilled, you've deburred everything on the inside. We're ready to start putting the valve body on the case. Now this case is empty. You're going to put all your guts in it first to get your in-place set. But for video purposes, show you how to install the valve body. Let's go ahead and go on with this. The first thing I want you to check is your tube. Many people use tubes that come out of existing Powerglides. We offer these brand new as well. Just make sure your tube fits the case nice and firm. If it goes in there and it flounders around, this is your low gear feed for the servo. You will leak low gear pressure right here. We don't want any leaks in our circuit whatsoever. So just take a quick second and check that tube. If it looks like somebody's installed it with the mega hammer and it's mashed flat, you need to change the tube as well, because that's going to restrict flow. I will tap it in there with a screwdriver handle. I'll show you that when we get to it. But just make sure it's not mashed flat. We see that coming in here so many times. The tube is mashed almost all the way to nothing, and they can't understand why their band is burned up. Okay, now you want to make sure your rocker is installed properly on your valve body. It has a roller in the front, and of course your manual valve that goes in and out. Pay particular attention to this slot when installing the valve body. I put my valve bodies on with the trans brake valve in it, and for the simple reason, there's plenty of valve bodies out there that this valve will not go through the trans brake solenoid hole right here. So if you get the valve body all put on and the valve's too large to go through the hole, well then where are you at? You can't put you have to take it back off to put it on. So it's kind of a habit. My valve is just big enough, just small enough to go through the hole. You don't have to leave my valve in the valve body to do it, but I'm going to show you that way because that's the way I prefer to put them on. This is a little bit of a catch. I always touch the valve with my pinky here. I grab my rocker so it's not folded upside down. I set this in a fairly neutral position here. You have to engage this pin to the manual valve, such as so. You want to put your tube in your valve body as well. Go ahead and stick your tube up in there. Again, make sure it fits good here. If the tube doesn't fit good in the valve body, you have one of two problems. Either your valve body's no good or the tube's no good. Most of the time it's the tube. All right, once you get to this position here, we're going to take everything. You want to stab in your trans brake valve first. Get up over your rocker here. And this looks pretty difficult, but it's not. Now you can let it go. Pull your manual valve out and hook it right on that pin and start your tube into the hole. Okay, as such. As you can see here, let's get a close-up of that. We are stabbed into the manual valve. If you miss that manual valve, you're going to have problems. You're going to move it and the transmission is not going to shift. If you notice the valve body is not sitting all the way flat on the case, now at this point, just tap that tube. It'll pop right in there. You don't have to beat it flat with the big old sledgehammer. You don't have to bang it in there. Now, a lot of people are going to use an impact gun to bolt this valve body on. I really don't want to see you doing that. There's no need for it. A speed handle works great. 122 inch-pounds. If you have an inch-pound torque wrench, many of you won't have one of those in your garage. I generally like to put this bolt in first at the top, then I like to come to the opposite side and put this one in the bottom. These are your alignment bolts. This is what gets the valve body aligned on the case. Once you get these two bolts started, then you can go ahead and start putting the rest of them in. Now if you see, I didn't put this top bolt in the top right-hand corner. What goes in that top right-hand corner is your guide plate. This is what keeps this from sliding in and out of your manual valve so you don't drop your manual valve. So this guy goes right over. This is called the rooster. It's going to protrude through the plate right there. And you simply bolt it in, just like the rest of it. Okay, we got our valve body all torqued down, ready to go here. We already have this through our guide plate, our rooster comb. We're going to put on our detent spring. Very important piece. Don't forget your detent spring. It simply hooks right here, and it hooks down to your roller detent right here. Clip it on the bottom. Take a pick, a screwdriver, whatever you like. I prefer a pick. Just makes a nice little hook. Pick it up and set it right on there. Once you pull that out, this is going to have detent now, and you move your arm. Always check the range of motion of your arm and look to make sure that it's still connected to the manual valve. Once you're done there, valve body installation is pretty well complete. You put your filter on in your oil pan. Of course, use a filter spacer if you're using a deep aluminum pan. Okay, you have your supplied trans brake solenoid. Now, you got to be careful when changing solenoids if you're going to change a valve body. And I just want to touch on this real quickly. Different manufacturers machine their valve different lengths. So you have to be able to measure the throw of your trans brake solenoid. In fact, we probably ought to actually make a video on this. Maybe we'll do that. Because if you put the wrong solenoid in your transmission and you don't know how to time the valve, you could run into a problem. So let's go ahead and cover that while we're at this. This solenoid, you're going to put your gasket on there. This screws right in the back of the case and this pushes on your trans brake valve. Please, if you don't have the proper wrench to do it, try not to do it with a big pair of pliers. You're going to tear the wires off of it and so forth. Get the proper wrench to put it on there. Now, I have the valve down by hand with the gasket on it. Now we need to get a real good close up here with the camera on this trans brake valve. We're going to act as if we're putting power to it. Can we see this good here? The valve and the valve body? we're going to act as if we're putting power to the solenoid, and that valve has to go in and close off in the valve body, and it needs to be smooth. As such, if you want the trans brake to release faster, you're going to shim this solenoid out to where that only goes into the valve body about 45 thousandths, and that 45 to 50 thousandths. If you want the brake to be slower, then just put one gasket on it, run it all the way in. You're going to find that our valves are cut very, very accurately to where you're going to find the differences in the case right here. As you can see, this one right here is probably going in 55, 60 thousandths. That'll be fine. You want to make sure it closes that hole off. If it does not close that hole off when you set the trans brake, you're going to have a leak in the reverse circuit. If you have a leak in the reverse circuit, then what's going to happen, the car is going to want to roll forward when you set the trans brake. That is also affected by band adjustment. That's what makes them back out, so forth. Continue on in some other how-to videos. Right now we're going to concentrate on the valve body. So as you can see, with the solenoid all the way in, it seals it off right there fine. So just take your wrench and tighten it down. Okay, so now the installation of this valve body is complete, and we've checked our valve phasing. Now let me take just a second. I want to show you as well an aftermarket case. I'm not going to take it all back off of here and put it on another case, but you need to go through the same rigors as putting it on this case, checking the tube, making sure all the holes are deburred, making sure you hit your manual valve, putting a spring on. I have an aftermarket case right here. Let's take a look at it, and just to make sure. Now if you'll notice the casting here with the valve body bolts up is quite a bit different than the factory case. You also notice the diameter of the hole. Now this hole in an aftermarket case, you don't have to drill from the back. And why do you not have to drill it from the back? They've already done it for you. They've intersected on the inside to this hole right here without coming from the back side. You can come back here and drill it, but you don't have a reference point to drill it. So therefore it's not needed to drill. Just wanted to kind of cover that in case you got an aftermarket case, you can put a valve body on it and you go, hey, wow, there's no horseshoe, no hole to drill. Just kind of wanted to cover that. So hopefully that'll answer all your questions on how to put on a power glide valve body. If you have any more questions, feel free to call me here at the shop, 386-736-5816. Just call the FTI guy. We'll fix you up.